The rescue dropship cut through the black clouds like a silent blade. Its engines whispered against the dead air as Commander Lyra watched the burnt horizon appear below, lifeless and cracked open in deep scars. Outpost Vega 12 was nothing more than smoking ruins. 3 days ago, this place had been alive. Soldiers on patrol, engineers fixing comms towers, laughter in the mess hall. Now, the galactic news broadcast had shown only fire and silence. Every channel said the same thing: no survivors. The outpost was declared lost before anyone even thought about sending a rescue team. But Lyra didn't believe in clean endings. Not in war. Her team wasn't here to save people. They'd been sent to salvage. Human tech couldn't fall into enemy hands. That was the mission: sweep the ruins, recover black box data, leave. The Council didn't want to waste resources searching for ghosts. The dropship landed on what had once been the command courtyard. The walls around it were twisted steel. The ground was littered with shattered helmets and half-melted rifles. Even the air tasted poisonous through Lyra's filter mask. "All right," she said in two comes. "We move in pairs. Keep your scanners hot. If it's not human, shoot it." Her soldiers spread out, their boots crunching over glass and ash. Above them, the sky churned with dark green clouds. Hiding the enemy ships that still orbited Vega 12, no one spoke about it, but they all knew the enemy was watching. The first hour was quiet.
Ow.
They found fragments of comms drives cracked, datapads, and the scorched remains of the outpost's main computer core. Lyra recorded every find, uploading the locations for the salvage drones that would come later. Then her wrist scanner beeped. She stopped in the middle of what had once been the mess hall. The roof was gone, the walls blackened, yet the scanner pulsed with a faint signal, rhythmic, steady, alive. A heartbeat. Her own heart skipped. "Base, confirm," she whispered, reading life signs. The voice in her earpiece was flat. "Negative, Commander. The Goat-Welf has no survivors." Lyra tightened her grip on the scanner. "Telling you, I have a pulse. Human, weak but steady. Range 60 meters. Underground." Static answered. The command center back at orbit clearly thought her equipment was glitching. But Lyra had been in the field too long to mistake a glitch for a heartbeat. She waved over Corporal Mace, the team's heavy engineer. "We've got something under us. Start cutting." They traced the signal to a collapsed section of the storage wing. Huge steel beams had fallen, sealing off whatever was below. Rubble smelled of burnt plastic and chemical smoke. Mace fired up the plasma cutter, its bright flame hissing against metal. Sparks rained down like tiny meteors. The team worked fast but quietly. If the enemy noticed them digging things, could get ugly. Every few minutes, Lyra checked her scanner. The signal flickered, but never vanished. The heartbeat was slow, far too slow for a healthy human, but it was still there. How could someone survive down there? Private Kell muttered as he hauled. Debris aside. 3 days with no air, no food. "Don't ask," Lyra said. "Just dig." Hours passed. Sweat dripped into her mask, her arms aching from hauling twisted sheets of metal. The wind howled through the broken halls, carrying the distant sound of creaking steel. Once, far above, something moved in the clouds, a black shadow gliding. Watching, then Mace's cutter bit through a final layer of alloy with a deep groan. Sliver of space opened, dark stale air rushing out. The scanner spiked. The heartbeat was close now. It's very close. Lyra dropped to her knees, pressing her helmet light into the gap. At first she saw nothing, then deep inside, a pale shape shifted. A voice came out of the darkness, dry, cracked, trembling. "Is anyone human?" The sound froze the entire team. They exchanged looks, wide-eyed, as the voice repeated, weaker this time, please. "Tell me you're human." Lyra's breath caught. "Yes," she said, forcing her voice steady. "We're human. We're here to get you out." There was a pause. Then a slow, shuddering exhale from the shadows. "You're too late," the voice whispered. Before Lyra could ask what that meant, a deep metallic thud echoed from somewhere far above, the unmistakable sound of something heavy landing. On the surface, Mace's eyes went wide. "Commander, we've got company." Lyra looked back at the narrow hole in the rubble, then at the scanner, then at the black sky beyond the ruins. Whoever was watching from orbit had just decided to come down, and they were no longer alone on Vegat-12, if you want. I can now move to part 2, where Lyra's team tries to extract the survivor while the enemy closes in, building suspense. The survivor, the dust from the collapsed metal, still hung in the air. Commander Lyra pushed her visor tighter against her face, switching her helmet to full filtration mode. Our eyes scanned the narrow, dark space they had just opened. A pale hand moved in the shadows. Lyra raised her arm to stop. "The others, there's someone here." The team's medic, Joran, dropped to his knees, shining a small light into the gap. A human face stared back at him, dirty, bloodied, but alive. "Help me," the voice whispered again, hoarse and broken. They cleared the rest of the rubble carefully, metal screeching as they pulled it aside. Finally, they freed him. He was young, maybe in his 20s, wearing shredded combat armor. His helmet was gone. His breathing was shallow but steady. "Name?" Lyra asked softly. The man's lips trembled. "Captain Elias." "Kane." The name froze her for a second. She had heard it before. Vegat-12's tactical commander. But according to the Galactic news reports, Kane had been killed on the first day. "How long have you been down here?" Joran asked, starting to patch his wounds. Kane coughed, wincing. 3 days, maybe more. Hard to tell. No light. No water. He looked around, eyes darting nervously. "Are they gone?" Lyra glanced up at the sky through the broken ceiling. Above the toxic haze, enemy ships still floated in orbit like silent predators. "Not all of them," she said. "We have to move." But Kane shook his head violently. "No, you don't understand. You're still here, on the ground." The team exchanged uneasy glances. According to every scan, Vegat-12's surface was empty except for wreckage. No enemy soldiers, no drones, nothing. "What do you mean?" Lyra pressed. Kane's voice dropped to a whisper. "They don't leave bodies, they take them. Every soldier, every civilian, they take them somewhere. I saw it." Lyra felt a shiver crawl up her spine. There had been rumors before other battlefields where no bodies were found. Galactic Command always claimed it was just disintegration weapons. But Kane's eyes told her this wasn't about weapons. This was something else. Before she could ask more, a warning flashed across her visor. Motion detected 40 meters. Her pulse quickened. "Shut the lights." The entire team went dark, crouching low behind the rubble. The only sound was the hiss of their breathing. Then they heard it, faint mechanical footsteps, slow but deliberate, crunching over debris. Through a crack in the wall, Lyra saw a shadow move. It was tall, armored, and not human. A single glowing red eye scanned the ruins. The alien drone paused, its head tilting as if listening. Lyra didn't dare breathe. Finally it moved on, vanishing into the haze. "See?" Kane whispered, trembling. "They're still hunting. They're not here for territory. They're here for people." Lyra nodded. "Then we leave now." They began moving through the collapsed corridors of the outpost, sticking. 2 shadows, stepping over shattered metal beams and the burned remains of machines. Kane limped, leaning on Joran's arm. Every few steps he would glance over his shoulder as if expecting something to grab him. When they reached the edge of the landing zone, Lyra called in the extraction shuttle, but the reply came back cold. "Extraction delayed. Enemy activity detected in your sector. Hold position." Her jaw tightened. "Negative. We have a survivor. Priority evacuation." Silence then. "Understood. 10 minutes. Keep your beacon off until we arrive." They ducked into the remains of a storage hangar to wait. The air inside was thick with the stench of burned plastic and fuel. Kane sat against a wall, eyes distant. "You have to tell Command. They need to know what really happened here." "I will," Lyra promised. But before she could say more, Joran froze. "Commander, listen." From outside came the sound of metal scraping on metal, slow, steady, and getting closer. A shadow passed over the hangar's broken entrance. And then they heard it. A low alien voice, speaking words none of them understood. Kane's face went pale. That's them. Lyra gripped her rifle. Positions. Quiet. Through the smoke, 3 tall figures emerged. Not drones this time, soldiers. Their armor was black and ridged, their weapons long and blade-like. They didn't walk like a patrol. They moved like predators, sniffing the air, searching for something. One of them stopped, its head turning toward the hangar. The soldier made a sharp clicking sound, a signal. Lyra's heart pounded. She knew what would happen next. The medical bay was quiet except for the steady beep. Beep of Cade's heart monitor. He lay on the bed, pale and bruised, an oxygen mask over his mouth. Lyra stood nearby, arms crossed, watching every twitch of his fingers. Dr. Orland checked. The readings, he's stable, but he hasn't woken up. Lyra glanced at the boy's face. He will. He has to. The rest of the crew moved in silence. Something about rescuing Cade didn't feel like victory. They were still in Vegat Wells. System. Enemy ships had been seen earlier. And there was the bigger problem. Cade's survival didn't make sense. On the bridge, Officer Dren tapped at the comms panel. "Commander, you need to see this." Lyra stepped forward. "What is it?" Dren's voice was low. "We're being followed." Through the forward screen, a small silhouette drifted in the black void, too far to identify. Too slow to be a normal warship. Lyra frowned. "Range. 2,000 clicks. Matching our speed exactly." Dr. Orland's voice came over. "The cum, Lyra. Cade's brain activity just spiked. He's dreaming. Or remembering something." Lyra hesitated. The logical thing was to investigate the ship outside. But her instincts told her the two events were connected. She hurried back to the med bay. Cade's hands twitched. His lips moved under the oxygen mask. She leaned closer. "Cade, can you hear me?" His eyes fluttered open just for a second, and he whispered one word. "Don't dock." Then his head fell back. The heart monitor kept beeping. Lyra's stomach tightened. "Orlan, wake him up now." The doctor shook his head. "He's too weak. Forcing him awake could kill him." Lyra clenched her jaw. She returned to the bridge. The shadowy vessel was now closer. It had no running lights, no transponder signal. And yet its design was wrong. It didn't match any enemy profile. "Magnify," she ordered. The image zoomed in. The ship looked half alive. "It's whole grown from some kind of dark organic matter," Dren muttered. "That's not in our database." Lyra's voice was flat. "It's watching us." Oh, the ship sent no signals. It just stayed there, patient. Waiting, Lyra switched the ship's come to private mode and set course out of the system, full burn. "I want distance between us, Commander," engines roared. Stars stretched into streaks as they accelerated. But the shadow vessel kept pace, slipping into the same faster-than-light corridor. Dren's eyes widened. How is it following? "Our FTL signature is encrypted." Lyra's mind flashed back to Cade's warning. "Don't dock." She didn't like the thought forming in her head that maybe the ship wasn't tracking them at all. Maybe it was tracking him. Hours passed. The crew avoided talking about the thing outside. No one wanted to admit how wrong it felt. Every so often it shifted position, gliding silently from one side of their ship to the other. Then, without warning, their ship shuddered. Lights flickered. Dren slammed a hand on the console. "Graph field disruption. Something's pulling us out of FTL." Stars snapped back into points. They were in normal space again. And the shadow ship was directly in front of them. It just floated there, filling the forward view like a silent predator. No weapons fired. No demands came through. Then slowly a section of its hull peeled open like a wound. A voice, cold and mechanical, echoed over the bridge speakers. "Transferred the survivor." Lyra's skin went cold. "This is Commander Lyra of the Free Alliance. Identify yourself," the voice repeated. "Transfer the survivor. Your vessel will be erased." Every crew member looked at her. In the med bay, Cade's heart rate spiked again, alarms beeping faster. Dr. Orland called out, "Commander, he's waking up." Lyra made her choice. "Hold position. No one opens." "That airlock." She sprinted back to the med bay. Cade's eyes were wide, his voice shaking. "They followed me." From the tunnels, they won't stop. Lyra knelt beside him. What are they? Why do they want you? Cade's lips trembled. They're not ships, they're hunters, and they're not here for me. They're here for what's inside me. The ship shook again, not from weapons, but from something attaching to the hull. Dren's voice came overcome tense. Commander, they're boarding. Lyra stood, heart pounding. She finally understood Vega 12 wasn't destroyed. To win a battle, it was destroyed to hide this. And now, the thing they were trying to hide, it's already on her ship. The enemy in the shadows, the cave was silent, except for the distant hum of the oxygen pumps. Lyra kept her pulse rifle close. Every shadow felt alive. Zane had been quiet since they sealed the entrance. He sat near the dim heater, staring at the ground, the blue glow of his wrist scanner reflecting off his face.
Oh.
Juno broke the silence. Commander, we can't stay here. The enemy ship is still in orbit. If they find heat signatures, they already know we're here, Zane said suddenly. Lyra turned sharply. What do you mean? He raised his wrist scanner, showing faint flickering. Dots on the display. I've been tracking them for the past hour. 3. Maybe 4 of them, not our species. They're moving in patterns, watching us. They're not coming closer. Yet, Juno cursed under her breath. Scouts? More than scouts, Zane replied. They're hunting something. I'm not sure it's us. The words settled like ice. In the room, Lyra's mind raced. The enemy wasn't here to kill them immediately. What did they want? She moved toward the edge of the cave, peeking into the tunnels that stretched like a black maze into the mountain. The air smelled faintly of burnt metal and something sweet, almost rotten. Commander. Juno's voice was low. I'm getting an energy spike. It's not coming from us or the scouts. Zane looked up sharply. It's the reason they attacked. Via 12. Lyra faced him. You know something? He hesitated, then spoke in a voice so low she had to lean in to hear. I was part of a project here. We're building something the council doesn't know about. Something dangerous. What kind of something? Lyra asked. Before Zane could answer, a faint scraping echoed from the tunnel. Everyone froze. Lyra motioned for silence and switched her rifle to silent mode.
Ow.
A shadow moved at the far end of the tunnel, then another. 2 figures emerged, tall, thin, their limbs too long for their bodies. Moved like they were gliding, their skin glistening faintly under the cave lights. Juno whispered, Those aren't soldiers. Those are hunters. The creatures didn't attack. They stopped just inside the tunnel entrance and tilted their heads like they were listening. Then one of them hissed, a sound like steam escaping. Zane's eyes widened. They're marking our location. Lyra made a split-second decision. Pack up. We move deeper now. They moved quickly, but the tunnels twisted endlessly. The deeper they went, the warmer the air became, and the faint, rotten smell grew stronger. Finally, they entered a vast chamber. The walls glowed faintly with green crystal veins, casting strange shadows. In the center stood a large sealed metal door. It was ancient, nothing like human design. Zane stepped forward slowly, almost in awe. This is what they came for. Ira aimed her rifle at him. You're going to start explaining. Now. Zane didn't even flinch. The Veget Wealth project wasn't about defense. We found this structure during mining operations 2 years ago. It predates every known civilization. Couldn't open it, but our scans showed movement inside. Juno's eyes narrowed. Inside? You mean something's alive in there? Alive or sleeping? Zane said quietly. We didn't know. But the readings and energy spikes, thermal patterns, they matched nothing in our records. And then, 3 days ago, the readings changed. Something inside woke up. Lyra's grip on her rifle tightened. And the aliens came to make sure it doesn't get out. Before Zane could reply, the ground shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Juno checked her scanner. Multiple hostiles inbound. The hunters aren't waiting anymore. Lyra looked at the ancient. Door, then, at Zane. If this thing is dangerous, we can't let them near it. Zane gave a grim nod. Then you'll need to decide fast, because once this door opens, there's no closing it again. From the tunnels came a new sound. Not the clicking claws of the hunters, but a deep, resonant hum. The metal door shivered, faint green light seeping from the edges. Zane's voice was almost a whisper. It's opening. The hum grew louder. The green crystals in the walls pulsed like a heartbeat. Lyra felt the hair on her arms stand up. Then, a shadow moved behind the glowing cracks in the door. Something inside was moving toward them. The human soldier Captain Rourke sat against the cold steel wall of the command shelter. His breathing was shallow, each breath sounding like it scraped through broken glass inside his chest. His eyes, however, were sharp. Commander Lyra knelt beside him, adjusting the portable oxygen unit. You shouldn't be alive, she whispered. Rourke gave a faint grin. I hear that a lot. The rest of Lyra's team stayed close to the shelter's entrance, weapons ready. The ground above them trembled every few minutes. The enemy ships hadn't left Vega 12. They were still watching, waiting. Lyra kept her voice low. We need to move you to our ship. Rourke shook his head. Not yet. There's something you have to see. He pointed to an old console in the corner. The screen was cracked, its frame scorched from heat blasts, but faint green text still blinked across it. Lyra walked over, brushing away dust. What is this? Black line transmission, Rourke said. Top secret. I sent it during the attack, before we lost the uplink. Lyra's eyes narrowed. Who did you send it to? Rourke's voice was like iron. Everyone, she frowned. Everyone. Every allied fleet, every neutral system, even the enemy, Rourke said. They all got it. The console hummed as the damaged system replayed the last sent file. Static filled the screen, then an image appeared, grainy but clear enough. It showed the surface of Vega 12 during the first hours of the battle. Dozens of alien dropships descended, unleashing a storm of fire on the human outpost. Lyra had seen war footage before, but this was worse. The air was filled with burning debris and human screams. Then the image shifted to the command tower. Inside, Rourke and a handful of soldiers fought to protect a glowing data core. We weren't defending the outpost, Rourke said. We were protecting this. On the footage, the data core pulsed with light. The moment an alien soldier broke through the door, Rourke triggered a manual override. A wave of code streamed across the screen, encrypted signals, spreading far beyond Vega 12. What was it? Lyra asked. Proof, Rourke said, of what the enemy is planning next. They're not just targeting human colonies, they're building something big. The footage ended with the command tower collapsing. Lyra's stomach tightened. If that's true, why hasn't anyone acted on it? Rourke leaned forward, wincing in pain. Because they don't want to believe it. The enemy has spies everywhere. Yeah. Some of our so-called allies might already be compromised. Outside, the sound of distant thrusters grew louder. Lyra's second in command, Cade, peeked out of the shelter and swore under his breath. Commander, we've got company. Why? Through the cracked steel, she saw dark shapes moving in the dust stall, thin figures with glowing eyes. Alien ground troops. Rourke struggled to his feet. You'll have to fight your way out. Lyra shook her head. Not without you. Rourke gave her a small, grim smile. You're stubborn. The enemy troops drew closer, their footsteps echoing in the silence. Lyra quickly tapped her com. Raptor 1. Emergency pickup coordinates transmitting now.
Oh.
Static crackled. Then a voice replied, acknowledged Etta. 6 minutes. 6 minutes. They had to hold out for 6 minutes against an entire alien squad. Cade handed Rourke a sidearm. The soldier checked the ammo with the ease of someone who had done it 1,000 times. Let's make this interesting. The first alien burst through the doorway. Cade fired, dropping it instantly. Another slipped in from the side, claws flashing, but Lyra's rifle cut it down before it could strike. Rourke moved like a man who had no time left to waste. Every shot he fired was precise, each hit deadly. Shelter filled with smoke and spade, the smell of scorched metal. 3 minutes. The pilot's voice called over comes. The aliens pressed harder, their glowing eyes swarming in the dark. Lyra's shoulder burned where a plasma bolt grazed her armor. Cade took a hit to the leg, but kept firing. Suddenly Rourke stumbled. Blood darkened his uniform. Lyra grabbed his arm, pulling him toward the exit. We're almost there. Outside, the rescue dropship descended through the dust, side guns blazing. The ramp dropped with a loud clang. Lyra, Cade, and Rourke ran through enemy fire, the ship's guns cutting a path. Inside, the ramp closed and the ship lifted off. The battlefield fell away beneath them. Rourke collapsed into a seat, coughing hard. He pulled a small drive from his pocket and pressed it into Lyra's hand. Backup copy, in case the transmission was intercepted. Lyra stared at it. It was warm from his grip. What's on it? The map to where they're building it, Rourke said. You'll see. He leaned back, closing his eyes. His breathing slowed. Lyra felt a sudden chill. Me, Captain, she said. Rourke's lips curved into the faintest smile. Make sure they see it, Commander. Make sure they know. His eyes closed. Lyra gripped the drive tightly, her mind racing. Whatever was on it, she knew one thing. It was going to change the war. And someone, somewhere, was already trying to stop her from using it. The last transmission in the medbay was silent, except for the steady hum of life support machines. Rin lay on the narrow bed, pale but alive. His breathing was slow, his eyes half closed, but he kept his hands tightly clenched around a small damaged data chip. Commander Lyra stood beside him, arms crossed, her mind racing. She had seen war before, but nothing like this. Vega 12 had been wiped out in less than an hour. Now, one survivor claimed he knew why, and that knowledge could start a new war. Rin, she said quietly, leaning closer. You said you saw the enemy's command ship. You said, it wasn't what we thought. His lips trembled. It wasn't the Jarians, he whispered. The fleet? It was human. The room seemed to grow colder. Even the medic froze mid-step. Lyra shook her head slowly. That's impossible. No human fleet was anywhere near Vega 12. I saw. The markings, Rin insisted, voice breaking. Black holes. No insignia, but their voices. Human voices. They were the ones who fired first. The medic looked uneasy. Commander, he's been through trauma. Could be confused. No, Lyra cut her off sharply. I've seen soldiers who are confused. He's not. She turned back to Rin. Why would humans attack their own outpost? Eyes closed, and a tear rolled down his cheek. Because.
Ow.
Vega 12 wasn't just an outpost. We had something. A weapon. And someone wanted it gone. Before Lyra could press for details, the ship's alarms blared. Red lights flashed along the medbay walls. The intercom crackled to life. Unknown vessels detected. They're closing fast. Lyra rushed to the bridge. The tactical display lit up with the shapes of 3 sleek ships. Black holes. No. Insignia, just as Rin had described. They were already within weapons range. Shields up. Lyra ordered. Get us out of here, maximum burn. The pilot's hands flew over the controls. But the enemy ships moved with frightening precision, cutting off every escape vector. A hail came through audio only. Calm male voice spoke. Commander Lyra of the rescue ship Falcon's Reach, you are carrying something that belongs to us. Surrender the survivor, and you may leave unharmed. Lyra's jaw tightened. Identify yourself. Silence. Then the voice returned, colder this time. You have 30 seconds. Her crew looked to her, waiting for an order. On the medbay screen, she saw Rin struggling to sit up, clutching the data chip like it was his last breath of air. Commander? The pilot asked nervously. Lyra didn't answer right away. Her mind flashed back to the burnt ruins of Vegat Welv, the toxic air, the endless silence, and that single, impossible heartbeat on her scanner. If she gave Rin up, they might survive today. But whatever secret he carried, it would vanish. Forever. Her hand hovered over the cum switch. She took a breath. Tell them, before she could finish, the Falcon's reach shuddered violently as the first enemy shot hit the shields. The lights flickered. Lyra steadied herself and shouted, all power to engines. We're not giving them anything. The Falcon's reach roared forward, breaking through the enemy formation in a blinding burst of acceleration. Weapons fire chased them, shaking the ship, but Lyra didn't look back. On the medbay feed, Rin lay back, eyes closing again. His voice was faint but clear through the ship's cum. Tell them, Vega 12 wasn't the first. The channel went dead. The enemy ships fell behind as the Falcon's reach jumped to hyperspace. But Lyra knew this was far from over. If Rin was right, then somewhere out there, humans were waging a secret war against their own kind. And now, she was part of it.